Welcome, welcome, come in, come in. Oh, you're a little late for our gathering, but come in, sit and eat. We have plenty of food. Oh, it was such a meal. My name is John. This reminds me of a meal that we had so many years ago with Jesus. It was before the Passover, and Jesus knew that his hour had come to leave this world and return to his Father. Jesus had loved his disciples during his ministry here on earth, and now he would love them to the very end. It was time for supper, and the devil had already prompted Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Now Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything, and he knew that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up and he took off his robe and wrapped a towel around his waist and poured water into a basin. And then he got down and began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel. When he came to Simon Peter, Peter said, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" And Jesus said, "You do not understand what I am doing now, but someday you will." "No," Peter protested. "You will never wash my feet." And Jesus replied to him, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." Then Simon Peter replied, "Then wash my hands and my head as well, Lord, not just my feet." And Jesus replied, "A person who has bathed all over does not need to wash, except for the feet to be entirely clean. And you disciples are clean, but not all of you." For Jesus knew who would betray him. That is what he meant when he said, "Not all of you are clean." After washing the disciples' feet, Jesus put on his robe again and sat down and asked, "Do you understand what I was doing? For you call me Teacher and Lord. And you are right, for that is who I am. And since I, your Lord and Teacher, have washed your feet, then you ought to wash each other's feet. For I have given you an example to follow. Now do as I have done for you." Then Jesus said, "I tell you the truth. Slaves are not greater than their master, nor is the messenger more important than the one who sends the message. Now that you know these things, God will bless you for doing them." But then Jesus said, "I am not saying these things to all of you. I know whom I have chosen. But this fulfills the scripture that says, 'The one who eats my food has turned against me.' I tell you this beforehand, so that when it happens, you will know that I am the Messiah." Jesus concluded by saying, "I tell you the truth. Anyone who welcomes my messenger welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes my Father who sent me." Now Jesus was deeply troubled, and he exclaimed, "I tell you the truth. One of you will betray me." The disciples looked at each other, wondering whom he could mean. The disciple that Jesus loved was sitting next to Jesus at the table. Simon Peter motioned to him to ask, "Who is it he's talking about?" So that disciple leaned over to Jesus and asked him, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus replied, "It is the one to whom I give the bread that I dip into the bowl." When he had dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. When Judas had eaten the bread, Satan entered into him. And Jesus said to him, "Hurry and do what it is you're going to do." And none of the others at the table knew what Jesus meant, for Judas was the treasurer. So some thought that Jesus was telling him to go pay for the food, or to go to give money to the poor. So Judas left at once, going out into the night. As soon as Judas had left the room, Jesus said, "The time has come for the Son of Man to enter into his glory, and God will be glorified because of him." And since God receives glory because of the Son, he will give his own glory to the Son, and he will do so at once. Dear children, I will be with you only a short time longer. As I have told the Jewish leaders, you will search for me, but you cannot come where I am going. And then Jesus continued saying, I give you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. And Simon Peter asked, Lord, where are you going? And Jesus replied, you cannot go with me now, but you will follow me later. But why can't I follow you now, Lord? He replied, I'm ready to die for you. Jesus answered, die for me? I tell you the truth, Peter. Before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny 3 times that you even know me. Jesus had so much more to say that day, but those were the words that really stuck with me.